you're just taking Charles's word for it. It's like, well, no, we wrote 130 papers and there's an army of engineers and all these other things. We did all the work up front. And if we hadn't done that, then it would be just like Vitalik with his prognostications about, Ethereum 2 and Casper, where they keep doing it until they run into a roadblock. Then they have to throw it all away and keep doing it until they run into a roadblock and throw it all away. We don't quite run into that. So I think this year is going to be our most productive year. And, people on Twitter, they like putting up that quote where I made a prediction about the amount of dApps and assets. Well, I was wrong in both directions. I was under optimistic about assets. There's 2 million assets that have been issued on Cardano. I was overly optimistic on the amount of dApps, but to be fair, we have 130 under construction. And we're in the infancy of Plutus, and we haven't even turned on all the Ethereum interoperability. So if you look at that projection and you project it out the year, if that keeps going with Catalyst support, we're probably going to be right in that projection. All right, it was off by about a year. Does that materially change the protocol? Does that materially change the science? Does that materially change the use of utility? And then on to Africa. We did the Africa tour last year. We went South Africa and Burundi and Zanzibar and Ethiopia and Kenya and Egypt. And we put ourselves in a great position over the last 4 years to actually start realizing what I was talking about, the TED Talk in 2014. There has been an enduring consistency in our messaging, vision, and philosophy about this project. We've never wavered once. We said 3 billion people, let's go find them, let's get them in. And we have a beautiful approach to do that. We've brought millions on board with Prism, B2B2C acquisitions. We have great partners on the ground that we're actively working with in Africa, nation states we're working with. So there's an inevitability that we get a shot at the vision of changing the lives of billions of people as an ecosystem. And we know the technology is fit for purpose because we built it that way. Everything from the metadata standards to the Prism-based identity standards to how we approach scale, how we approach participation. The other thing is the people in the ecosystem care about the mission. You think about growth, you have to ask yourself, who are you inviting into your house? If you get people in, the only thing they care about is making money, speed, and cost. Then if you go to them and say, hey, let's hyper-centralize the system and give Amazon total control, and you'll save 25%, they'll be like, where do we sign up? We love money. So you have to be really careful with how you grow and how you indoctrinate the philosophy of the system, just like Bitcoin was. No one was money motivated in the early days of Bitcoin because there was no money to make. Bitcoin was worthless. There were StarCraft tournaments where your fifth prize, your consolation prize was 25 Bitcoin. Your first prize was $100. I mean, if I got these worthless Bitcoin things, what the hell are those, right? But it grew into this Goliath because it was born of principles. And so when you look at your initial population, you have to say, where do they come from? What's your churn rate? What are your growth factors? And one of the things that people cannot deny is the strength of the Cardano community, the passion of that community, the philosophy, the philosophical purity of that community, and the fact that most people here just want to do the right thing. And they want to change the world. And they're comfortable with the idea that they're not a passive, but rather an active participant there. We have this saying in Cardano, grab a shovel. Get it done. Go out there, plant some trees. And we see the stake pool operators doing clean water projects. We see people doing healthcare projects, charity projects. Some are faith-based. Some are philosophy. Some are setting up NGOs. There's a SPO down in South America that's feeding children in Argentina. Everybody is finding something to do, some way to help, and use this system to do so. And as the tooling and capability of the system grows, that's only going to increase. And people are participating in droves with Catalyst. We have the largest decentralized organization in the world running the distribution of funds for the treasury of Cardano. Every round, the participation metrics go up. The amount of funded ventures go up. We're over 300. And those will bear fruit in their own right and lay the lands for 1,000 flowers. So I feel very strong. I feel we're in a very strong position. And I think we've made enormous progress, especially when you zoom out a little bit and you look at where we were at and how weak we were to how strong we are now and how fast it's all coming together. And the fact that every aspect is covered by some paper or piece of technology that we know works. And it's just an inevitable matter of getting all those pieces together. And if winning means you have to compromise on quality and have $10.5 billion of hacks a year and not care about people and surrender to centralization or reset the network anytime it breaks manually. I don't want to win. I'd much rather lose with some integrity. And frankly, I think it's neither. I think we're going to win with integrity because that's ultimately what crypto is all about. That's the point of crypto. And then if the technology is great, it's better, faster, and cheaper than most of the people in the space, if not all of them. So people are just cost conscious will come in. And there are other people where they have assurance requirements that only Cardano can satisfy. So they'll come in. So it takes a village. And there's not one company sitting down figuring this out. Your path to $1 billion is a multi-model and a multi-agency model, just like Bitcoin, where everybody feels some form of accountability. In the early days of Bitcoin, BitPay sponsored the St. Petersburg Bull. It became the Bitcoin Bull. In the early days of Bitcoin, Roger Ver was going around convincing barbers and coffee shops to accept Bitcoin, and he wouldn't leave until they took the Bitcoin. I mean, there was so many different people from all walks of life. Andreas Antonopoulos going on Joe Rogan's podcast, doing Mastering Bitcoin. Eric Voorhees doing Shapeshift, these types of things. So everybody has a place and a role, and great ecosystems give people the freedom and luxury to have a place and a role and to feel comfortable like they're welcomed and included. And bad ecosystems, they start taking that away from you and telling you what you have to do, and you feel like only one person can solve all the problems. That's not right.